ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
A sense of dread washed over me. How hadn't I noticed the surroundings up till now? The fog moved, squished, and squirmed in an unnatural manner. In the distance, I heard a disgusting wet sound. Somehow I felt like calling out the elephant in the room would kill the light above and let the mist invade the area the tea table was in. What if it would hurt me? No, something like that would definitely hurt me if it could get to me, I'm sure. Anxiously, I bit my lip as I turned my attention back to the teapot and decided to drop the subject. This is good. We're doing good. I guess not. Not really. I couldn't help but wonder if the teapot felt the same as me about the dark fog. Even if she did, she probably wouldn't tell me. Who am I meeting? I mean, I assume that teacup isn't for you since you can't drink from it. Well, that's just rude, and also presumptive. Without it being unpractical, at least. Well, you're meeting someone. Someone important. That doesn't tell me anything. It's all you need to know. Do you at least know if they're human or another teapot? No. Did I meet them before? Maybe. Fine. Can you tell me anything about them? Why should I tell you? This conversation isn't going anywhere. The dread that had filled me just a few moments earlier made way for irritation. The teapot had no useful information whatsoever. Damn teapot, it was all just vague nonsense. Why couldn't she just tell me? Could it be that she was just putting up the high and mighty act because I have amnesia? Do you just not know things yourself? Your cryptic answers are useless. You should just tell me if you don't know something. Such impudence! Child, perhaps you should remain more prudent for your own good. What are you going to do about my impudence? You're just a teapot. That's rude. Why don't you help me instead of acting as if you're so smart and better than me? You were far less obnoxious when you were more meek. It's no wonder you don't have any friends. Ouch. That one's dumb. It didn't really have a retort for that since, well, it was true. As I averted my eyes, they fell onto the snack tray. It was not filled with regular snacks and cakes, but with small floating stars. Curiously, I picked up one of the shiny snacks. It felt oddly warm and left a tingly sensation on my fingers. Having nothing to lose, I popped the star into my mouth. Surprise, it was Tinkerbell and you just ate her. As I did, the same tingling filled the inside of my mouth. The star seemed to have somewhat of a sugary, sweet shell, but as I bit into it, a thick, cold sauce-like liquid came out, filling up my whole mouth with something with a condensed milk-like flavor. Yeah, it's definitely like a... It's gonna be like a little tiny person that she just ate, I bet. As I savored it, it changed, hanged into something hot, more akin to cherry. It was a bit like ice cream with hot cherries on top, yet it was unlike anything I had tasted before. Okay. It changed, hanged. I couldn't help letting out a satisfied sigh. It was absolutely perfect. Miss Teapot let out a somewhat condescending giggle. Every time you act as if it's the first time you've tasted one, even though you stuff your mouth with them each and every time. Huh? Really? This taste is so different. I can't even imagine forgetting something this tasty. But you did forget, didn't you? I'm fairly sure some people would kill for your talent at forgetting things. Hey, it's not that bad. It's not like I forget everything. It's just that I'm having a hard time thinking in this place. And that doesn't apply to other places? Of course not. Then what other places do you remember? I closed my eyes for a brief moment, trying to think about it, but no matter how deep I dug into my mind, nothing came up. No images, no thoughts, nothing. I couldn't recall anything outside of this space. Why not? That didn't make any sense. I'm sure I hadn't just existed inside this space all this time. I don't really remember anything else. Then it really is a talent, is it not? Don't just blurt out nonsense without thinking about it. Man, this is Mrs. Teapot is not a nice teapot. It's unbecoming of a lady, and she should know, as a teapot. But I'm not lady, I'm a girl. Okay. Young lady, then. Whatever, I don't care anymore. Just stop antagonizing me already. It's like me with Undertale. I didn't do anything wrong, yet you're treating me as if this amnesia is somehow my fault. Why don't you work on trying to help me instead of just looking for excuses to act condescending and mean? Well, you can't really blame me for being a hothead, can you? I was born in heat, and born to be the very hothead I am today. Letting out a frustrated huff, I took my teacup and brought it to my lips. The bergamot scent was typical for Earl Grey, but I could detect another aroma too. It was something citrus-like. To be exact, it smelled like orange. So then this was Lady Grey, not Earl Grey. I had no idea why I knew something so insignificant, yet remembered almost nothing else, but at least it was something. Well, knowing different flavors and types of tea is more important than pretty much anything else. As I took a sip of the tea, I couldn't help but notice that it was somewhat bland. It was as if the tea leaves had been used a second time and were close to being exhausted. Wondering about the mixture and slightly curious whether it had the typical blue cornflower petals that were supposed to be among them, I raised the lid off Mrs. Teapot and peeked into it. Now that is just rude. Hey, I won't stand for this. Don't just do as you please with my body, you insolent child. Jeez, don't make it sound so dirty. There were no leaves inside at all. In fact, there was not even tea inside. Just hot water. Mrs. Teapot, you should be called Mrs. Waterpot. For some reason, I couldn't help but feel smug. Why, there's no tea inside at all. Oh my, even though you're a teapot, all you have inside is unflavored hot water? What's the point of that? Is this not due to your own incompetence? That's rude. Even my own tea is somewhat bland. Is this all you can do? Watch your tongue, girl, or else I'll make sure you'll burn it on your next cup. Besides, it's your responsibility, not mine. What do you mean by that? While I may provide the water and will always keep it hot, it is your task to find tea leaves. How am I supposed to find them in a place like this? How should I know? You usually just disappear into the shadows for a while and then you come back with tea. Really? I have to go out? Into that darkness? That is correct. I stared into my teacup for a while and at the cup meant for the person or thing I was waiting for. It seemed to be cooling off. I couldn't deny that it would be inappropriate not to serve hot tea to someone I was meeting, especially not when I had drunk some before they had arrived. Maybe they would come with tea themselves. That's something that I could hope for, but it wasn't a certainty. Certainty. As I peered into the dark mist, I felt nothing but trepidation, as if going out in it would destroy me. Whether it was poison or some inexplicable dark being, it felt like something hostile. I didn't want to go out into it. The mere idea sent shivers down my spine. To calm my nerves, I shoved a few stars into my mouth. This time I had let the outer shells melt, and the patience was rewarded. The taste was even smoother than before. I hummed, satisfied as I finished my tea. Hesitantly, I peered over the tea meant for the one I was supposed to meet. Are you considering drinking it? Maybe. It's a yes or no question, so it is safe to presume that is a yes then? I guess so. I mean, otherwise the tea will go cold, right? It'd be a waste. Yeah, better to serve somebody no tea than cold tea. That's true, but maybe your company will like their tea cold. Maybe, but that's not something that is safe to assume. That is true as well, so will you drink it? I thought for a while drinking someone else's tea is rude. But if it meant that the guest would get new fresh tea, it wasn't all that bad, was it? Depends on whether I'll be going into that fog or not. So will you? Will I really find tea out there? Well, you did come back with fresh leaves last times, but I can't guarantee it. Then it is safe, right? I won't die? The teapot barked out a laugh. Silly girl, do you think I can predict the future? Even if I claimed I could, why do you think my words would guarantee your safety? Fortune tellers often assure the safety of the person that pays them, but someone who dies after being told they lived never lives to tell the tale of how that was a lie. How assuring is that? So what you're saying is that you don't know. No, what I'm saying is that I will say that you'll survive if it makes you leave. You're an awful conversational partner. Dang. Don't worry, dearie, you'll survive for sure. As if anyone would believe that after your little rant. Besides, you're the one that's the awful conversational partner, not me. Sighing, I tried to calm myself down. The issue was whether or not the tea was worth it. This is great. I pondered about it for a while. Going out into the darkness felt as if it would be a death sentence, but if Miss Teapot insisted on the fact that I had returned from it before, it might not be as lethal as it appears to be. Are we going to go on a noble quest for tea or not take risks? Man, we're risking it. Let's go. We want some tea, man. We want real tea. Well, alright then. I guess I don't really have a choice. I took the teacup that was still full and I downed the lukewarm tea. It wasn't really great, but it's not like I was expecting it to be. My, how boorish. Let's see. How about I give you an actual reason to complain? How do you plan to do that? I pushed my chair back with my feet and got up. As my feet made proper contact with the surface beneath them, I noticed how wet it was. They had been touching the odd floor before, yet strangely enough, I hadn't really paid mind to the water flooding it. Although it didn't go up all the way to the top of my toes, it was still a significant amount of water. Was I walking on top of water? Squinting, I peered into the liquid surface beneath my feet. I didn't see anything besides water, not even something that looked solid. How odd. There appeared to be some kind of tall grass around the table, but I simply couldn't wrap my mind around how it would grow without any earth beneath it. I tried forcing one foot in deeper, but it seemed impossible. That probably meant that it was stable. Hopefully. Suddenly, a realization hit me. What if this was the water that automatically filled up Miss Teapot? I made a face. The last thing I, or anyone else for that matter, would want in their tea was water that had been contaminated by someone's feet. Shifting my attention back to the teapot, I walked over to her side of the table and stared down at her. I'm going to take you with me. What? You can't just do that. I'm a teapot, not an adventurer. Damn it, man, I'm a teapot. I hardly see the problem here. It's going to work out nicely for the both of us. This way, I won't be the only one that will get hurt if something happens inside of the fog. How will that work out nicely for me? If you get yourself killed, I won't be able to come back here by myself. Well, next time I forget about things, you'll be able to brag to me about how brave you are. I might even praise you, having forgotten how much of an unlikable person you are. I don't want to go. It is my duty to be here. Suppressing my smile with great effort, I tried to sound as sarcastic as possible, yet the mirth was audible in my voice. Wow, isn't that just too bad? That's so sad, my heart goes out to you, really. What shed? Oh, you awful brat. You'd better watch your hands. I'll spill hot water all over 'em. I might just leave you somewhere over there if you do that, or even shatter you onto the floor. I'll kill you, Teapot. I'll murder you dead. How would you like that? The guest won't be pleased with that. Yeah, but that doesn't matter if I'm dead, right? I grinned as I carefully picked up the teapot, supporting the bottom with one hand and holding the handle with another. Turning around, I came face to face with the dark fog. It squished and squirmed just as vapidly as it had done. Vapidly? As I took a deep breath and was about to step in, I stopped. I had wanted to move, I really had, but my legs refused to cooperate. The moment I had turned around and faced the disgusting fog, they had locked in place. You're not going? That's lovely. We can both stay here, then. I frowned at the teapot in my hand, forced a broad, cocky smile, and flashed it at her. Once again, I took a deep breath before forcing my left leg into the darkness. If anything motivated me, it was the will to get her to act unlike herself. Or at least that's what I was trying to convince myself of in my mind, to distract from the potential death sentence that this decision was. My right leg quickly followed, and before long I was out of the light and inside the darkness. For a while I just stood there. I was on the same kind of surface as I was at the table. Strangely enough, there was no vegetation beneath my feet. There was a bit of a grassy scent in the air, which was quite relieving, as I had expected the fog to reek of either chemicals or death. It wasn't like I thought it'd be, though the air was filled with more moisture than the area that was in the spotlight. It wasn't that hostile, but that didn't mean I couldn't just let my guard down. Maybe it would reveal its hostility later. Just as I thought that, my eyes adjusted to the darkness, and as they did, I saw floating lights that I hadn't seen while sitting at the brightly lit table. For a while I admired the sight of the stars dancing freely inside of the mist. Maybe they caused it to move in such a peculiar manner. I briefly wondered whether I could eat these too, but that's not what I was here for. See, it's not that bad, you spineless coward. You're right. Put me back, then. No. I don't know if it will get worse yet. Fine, then just get this over with. I nodded and cautiously advanced forward. Although it was a bit aimless, but I felt like relying on instinct in this place would probably work better than thinking about it. I get the feeling we'll be roaming through this darkness for a long time. Since Miss Teapot is with me, I guess we can talk.